Thailand's Prime Minister has faced opposition questions in Parliament for the first time as the former military general turned civilian leader set out his administration's plans to lawmakers. Prayut was challenged soon after beginning his introduction, saying to lawmakers that he missed them.
That's right. An opposition member asked him to stick to the policy document and not to offer extra comment. Mr. Prayut obliged before getting to the task at hand.
วันนี้จะขอแถลงนโยบายให้ทราบนะครับว่าจะดำเนินการอย่างไรต่อไปเราจะต้องเดินหน้าประเทศของเราไปด้วยความก้าวหน้ามั่นคงสังคมไทยมีความสงบเรียบร้อยสามัคคีเอื้ออาทรใครไม่เห็นด้วยกับผมตรงนี้บ้างคนไทยจะต้องมีคุณภาพชีวิตที่ดีขึ้นและพร้อมที่จะเดินชีวิตในศตวรรษที่ 21
And as you can see, Parliament is still in session as lawmakers continue to debate the policies. Key priorities include bolstering economic growth and developing a medical cannabis industry.
The debate's expected to continue well into tomorrow and could be extended a day further if needed. Our colleague May Wong joins us from Bangkok with more. May, this was Mr. Prayut's first outing facing all these elected MPs. How did it play out?
Very well, I would actually say. The fact that the tempers were kept in check and also there was no aggressive verbal exchanges, I think that's quite an impressive positioning, so to speak, from Mr. Prayut himself, given the fact that this is the first time in 5 years that Mr. Prayut actually has had to deal with elected members of parliament. In the last 5 years, when he actually governed Thailand under the military coup, he never had to deal with debates. He never had to deal with questions or being actually asked or criticized over his policies. He was able to actually implement a lot of the policies on his own with appointed people within his cabinet. But now things are different and a lot of people were expecting Mr. Prayut to really lose his temper because he has exhibited that before. He doesn't really have a lot of patience and he's quite intolerant towards criticism. But this time around, I must say the fact that he was actually very calm, very cool-headed, and also the fact that he tried to address some of the criticisms from many of the MPs at large. And in fact, there was one point that the MPs stood up to say, do not disrespect the members of parliament and do not treat us like soldiers. And in fact, that when he's addressing the parliament, he should actually be addressing the Speaker of the House and not directly to the members of parliament. And in that sense, Mr. Prayut actually turned to the Speaker of the House in wanting to look at him while talking to him, and that brought about laughter in the House. And also the fact that Mr. Prayut told the members of parliament that if they wanted respect, they too must also accord him the kind of respect that he deserves. So all this is playing out right now, and actually Mr. Prayut is being given a chance and is being tested really to see how he performs on the stage with elected members of parliament, and also to see whether or not he's able to exude and exhibit the leadership role that he has.
Sounds like they're all sort of enjoying this new debating process. May, tell us what other key queries did lawmakers raise?
It's been more than 5 years since they've had the chance to be in Parliament, and that's the reason why they did not let up in the questioning. Well, the MPs, the Cabinet, as well as the Senators, all in this bicameral Parliament, they've been allotted times to speak, and there's a duration which is about more than 30 hours that they can actually confine their questions. Now, some of the questions, not really questions to be honest with you, they're more statements, and I want to point out the reason why there are no questions asked specifically to Mr. Prayut or his cabinet. That's because the policy manifesto that the government has released is extremely broad, extremely vague, and that's the reason why the MPs find it very hard to pin down certain policies to actually either criticize or ask for more information. Basically, a lot of the members of parliament are saying is the fact that the government needs to show more information, needs to actually divulge exactly how they plan to put across their policies, how they plan to fund the policies. In the policy manifesto, they have identified about 24 policies, from helping farmers upgrade and upskill to helping the healthcare system to become even better, and also trying to reform the civil service and try to fight corruption. But all of these policies, they have not been detailed in terms of giving a timeline as to when these results can be seen, how much money will be expected to go into funding all of these policies. And that's the reason why the MPs continue to make very broad statements throughout the day, saying that economy is one area that the government will have to tackle. However, they need to prove the fact that they will be able to do a good job. Now, before I end as well, it's also important to note the fact that this is a time as well for the ministries later on perhaps to divulge more information. So the policy manifesto may be a broad overview coming from Mr. Prayut as the Prime Minister. Subsequently, the various ministries will likely go down to their respective jobs and also then start to really reveal exactly how the policies can be achieved and what else needs to be done.
All right, many thanks for that. May Wong speaking to us from Bangkok.